Hi guys. All right, today, like I told you, we're going to talk about short-term and long-term goals. People who set goals and set targets for themselves are, like I said earlier, 30% more likely to be successful than people who do not. So it is important that not only you have goals, but you write them down. So I'm going to encourage you, if you have not already started one, to go ahead and start some type of a workout or lifestyle journal or a blog. I know some of you guys have blogs, and I think that's great because you can get feedback from other people who are also trying to lose weight, or professionals who might come across your blog and help you out with advice and tips. So blogging is great, but if you don't want to do that and take the time to set that up, then go ahead and just get you a regular journal. I have one that looks like this, and I log, everything that I do in my journal. Along with, I also log my prayers and things like that in my journal during my quiet time. So I use it for everything. I call it my can. It's my catch-all notebook. So if you don't have a can, then create one today. It can be just a little small thing that fits in your purse, or it can be something larger if you want it to be, but make sure you have it, and you can journal in there about your goals and what you're doing. And we're going to talk a little bit about first long-term goals. And the long-term goals are actually the destination that you want to get to. That can be just being healthy, it can be a certain weight, or it can be a certain type of eating, or however whatever your specific goals are. That needs to be something that can take place between 8 and 12 weeks. In our challenge, I set it for 12 weeks because I knew that the first couple of weeks we were going to be doing some education and doing some assessments and doing some, learning how to set up our journal and setting goals and things like that. So the first couple of weeks are going to be taken up with that before we even really get started on making true changes in our life. So I made it a 12-week program because then that gives us about 10 weeks to actually get to our goal. Some of you started way before the challenge and you're just using this for motivation. That's fine. However you're doing yours is up to you. It's all based on your individual life and what you've done. So, but I do want to talk about short-term and long-term goals. Like I said, long-term needs to be between 8 and 12 weeks, and it needs to be realistic. It is not realistic to run a marathon in 12 weeks if you have never trained for one. But it is perfectly realistic to run a 5K if that's something that you want to do. So that's the type of realism that I'm talking about. You just want to make sure that you're realistic with the goals that you set, and that you're also very specific in those goals. Don't just say, I want to be healthy. You need to say specifically what you want to have change in your life for you to be healthy. I want my blood pressure to drop to the normal range, or I want to get off my blood pressure medication, or I want to lose 25 pounds. Be very specific in your long-term goals. Once you have your long-term goals set, write them down in your journal and make sure that they're clear. Once you write them down, it makes them real. And once they become real, then if you don't accomplish them, it's a lot harder for us to accept. So be sure that you write them down and look at them often so that you can see it and know where you're going. As far as short-term goals, these are going to be our long-term goals broken down into smaller steps. So these are going to be weekly goals. And what you want to do with your weekly goals is you want to make sure that you also write them down in your journal, but you want to break your long-term goals up into little bitty pieces. So if you want to lose 25 pounds in 10 weeks, then you're going to want to break that down into 2.5 pounds a week. So one of your goals will be to lose 2.5 pounds each week. Another goal may be to completely cut out your sodas during the week. Could be to exercise at least 3 times a day doing cardio and a couple of strength training workouts for the week. Whatever your short-term goals are, they're going to be small steps that eventually get you to your long-term goal. When we learned to swim, we didn't just jump in the pool and start swimming. We learned to tread water, we learned to put our face in the water and blow bubbles, how to kick our feet, how to hold our breath and float. And then eventually all of those itty-bitty steps we put together and learn to swim. That is exactly the same as to how we're going to do our short-term goals so that they lead up to our long-term goals. Each little small step is going to add up, but we're not going to end up drowning in frustrations and impatience, because we're going to have little steps along the way and little victories along the way that are going to get us to this long-term goal. So make sure that you write those down each week and you know what they are and you really strive to achieve them. Put a little check-off list in your journal if you have to and check it off each day. Whatever you have to do personally to reach those short-term goals. Then the last thing that I want to talk about is rewards. You want to make sure that you always have rewards in place for your goals, because setting rewards is going to it's going to help you to stay motivated to get where you want to go. It is very important, however, that we do not make those rewards foods. I know oftentimes you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds, and if I lose 5 pounds, then I'm gonna treat myself to a bowl of ice cream. Well, that's really kind of killing the point there. So, you may want to do, for your short-term goals, maybe you're going to reward yourself with, say, $5 in a jar. And then at the end of 4 weeks, if you've met all those goals, then you're going to take that money and put it towards getting a pedicure or a manicure or something like that. Those are great rewards. Just make sure that whatever your reward is, that it is not something that relates to food, because you don't want to start rewarding yourself with food, because that teaches your mind to focus on food as a reward rather than sustenance, which is what it is. One of my clients used to put a jar in for every mile that she ran every week, and then after 2 weeks of running, she would take that money and she would go and get a manicure. So that's a great idea. Every workout, you could put $1 in a jar or whatever. So however you want to do that is fine, but make sure that you are setting rewards. Keep in mind that as you keep your journal, you want to mark your goals, mark your rewards, be very specific on what you've accomplished each day so that you can look at it and feel good about that accomplishment. And then make sure that you put those things in our Facebook group so that we can see what you're doing. Today, what I want you to do is I want you to set at least 4 short-term goals for this week, starting today, which means for the next 7 days, so it'll end up in the middle of the week. But and then I also want you to tell me what your ultimate long-term goal is for this challenge. At least one. You may have 2 or 3, and that's okay. You can have 2 or 3. That's actually better if you do. But I want you to tell me what at least your one ultimate long-term goal, that means over the next 11 weeks, because we're still in week 2 of this program, and then what your short-term goals are for this week. Put those in our Facebook group in the comment section under the video, and then we'll see you tomorrow.